The way that I view decentralization is that it's a security mechanism and it's a ecosystem expansion mechanism. When I say security, is that assets at the end of the day are protected by these networks. You want to make sure that the network that protects it has a lot of nodes, a lot of actors, a lot of geographic diversity, a lot of software diversity that jointly secures the network. If you look at all the hacks, including the Bybit hack from a couple of weeks ago, why was it hacked? Because there's a centralized entity that had a few keys and people find a way to get access to those keys. In that case, those keys were behind the AWS deployments, but nonetheless, those like keys or API tokens that a centralized entity had. And so you can compromise and you can always break them. Security is only achieved through decentralization and diversification of software, deployment of practices and policies. And that's why it's very important. A lot of the interoperability stacks are very centralized out there in the market. That's the result of why we've seen billions of dollars being hacked in interoperability and bridges over the years. Very few keys or software bugs and like very centralized operations. People exploit it, people steal the funds. So decentralization is very, very critical to provide security in the long term. But back to my second point is that decentralization open protocols allow ecosystem to be built organically around the stack, right? Where anybody can come in, anybody can now integrate to Axelar, extend it, grow, propose contributions. And we have dozens of teams building their own connections at the protocol layer to the network. Right? We're helping them. We're answering some questions as one of the builders of those connections, but they're growing the ecosystem with us together. And I think the only way to do that is the underlying protocol is decentralized and open for participation, and it's not controlled by vendor. And all the interoperability stacks that we have seen over the history, including the history of the internet, that were controlled by the vendor didn't really scale. Right? Because one vendor can only do so much. They always have business constraints. Too much interoperability, too little interoperability, those things create friction in the long term. And having an open network and open environment where that friction does not exist is the healthiest way to grow, connectivity stack.